There are 5 warning signs that your arteries are subtly obstructed, and your body will alert you to them before a heart attack occurs. Did you know that it is possible for your arteries to become severely obstructed even if you do not have any chest pain? When it comes to heart disease, this is possibly one of the most troubling truths. Because the symptoms are so subtle, you could not recognize that something is wrong until it is too late. Nonetheless, your body will frequently whisper before it shouts first. Additionally, if you are aware of what to look for, you might be able to detect a problem at an early enough stage to save your life. In the following video, we are going to discuss 5 warning signs that may indicate that your arteries are gradually becoming more constricted. The way you move, how you feel, and how your body performs during activities that you do on a daily basis are all indicators of these signals. Even if you feel fine the majority of the time, these symptoms are frequently dismissed as a natural part of the aging process. Nevertheless, they may actually be indicators that your heart is not receiving the blood flow it requires. It is important that you remain with me until the very end because I will not simply tell you what these warning signs are. I will assist you in gaining an understanding of what is taking place within your body as well as the necessary actions that you can take right now to safeguard your heart. You may have had feelings of being more winded than normal, feeling more exhausted for no apparent reason, or simply having a nagging feeling that something is awry. Even if your physician has not provided any information, you should still watch this video. Let's get started. Shortness of breath during light activity is the first warning sign there is. One of the earliest indicators of clogged arteries, which is also one of the most frequently ignored signs, is experiencing shortness of breath while engaging in ordinary activities. In addition, we are not discussing the act of running marathons. This sort of shortness of breath manifests itself in peaceful, everyday situations, such as walking across a parking lot, climbing a few steps, or leaning over to tie your shoes. Things that you used to do without giving them a second thought now cause you to pause and catch your breath. You might also try placing your palm on your chest for a moment or two or even longer. It's simple to attribute things to becoming older, but the reality is that if you are experiencing shortness of breath like that, particularly if it is new or getting worse, your heart is trying to notify you that something is wrong. When arteries begin to constrict, blood is unable to travel through them as effectively. Therefore, less oxygen will be sent to the muscle of your heart, and less oxygen will be delivered to the rest of your body, particularly while you are engaged in physical activity. The following is what is taking place inside of your body. When the veins are constricted or partially blocked, your heart is unable to get enough blood to fulfill the needs of your muscles, despite the fact that it is trying to keep up with the demands. Therefore, your breathing becomes more rapid, your pulse quickens, and even light exercise begins to feel like it is too much for you to handle. There is a possibility that you will need to take a break halfway up the stairs or that you will require some time to recover after walking uphill. In the beginning, you choose to disregard it, yet, over time, your body begins to rearrange your life in accordance with this new constraint. Melvin, who is 76 years old, he admitted to me that he used to walk to the convenience store every morning, but that he had just discovered that he needed to stop halfway on his way there. He believed it was simply the effects of getting older. However, following a brief examination, his physician found that 2 coronary arteries had already seen substantial constriction. Following the completion of the treatment and the modification of his lifestyle, Melvin was able to walk and breathe normally once more. Shortness of breath is a risk that can sneak up on you without you even being aware of it. It does not hurt you at all. There is no event that is particularly noteworthy. It's just a gradual shift in how much you can accomplish and how different it is when you make an effort. On the other hand, your body is aware of this, and if you pay close attention, it will frequently be the first indication that your arteries may not be as open as they once were. If you have noticed that you are getting winded while doing things that you used to find easy, you should not dismiss this as a coincidence. This is especially true if it is accompanied by symptoms such as weariness, lightheadedness, or pressure in the chest or neck. There is more to those than just indications of aging. They could be indicators of something far more serious, and if captured at an earlier stage, they would be much easier to cure. There is a red flag too: persistent exhaustion for which there is no obvious explanation. An occasional feeling of exhaustion is quite normal. On the other hand, if that exhaustion persists day after day without a clear explanation, it may be more than just a lack of sleep or the effects of becoming older. There is a possibility that this is a symptom that your heart is not receiving the oxygen it needs, and that your arteries are narrowing in ways that you are not yet able to feel. The exhaustion that is brought on by inadequate circulation does not necessarily hit like a wall. There are instances when it comes on gradually. Even after a full night's sleep, you still feel foggy when you get up. When you are halfway through the day, you feel exhausted. It is not uncommon for activities that were once considered to be straightforward, such as preparing breakfast, doing laundry, or having a lengthy chat, to emerge as duties. Your heart is working more than it should to accomplish less than it used to. And this is not because you are being lazy or forgetful, rather, it is because your heart is working harder than it should. What is actually taking place is as follows. Because of the narrowing or clogging of the arteries, the heart must pump more forcefully in order to pump sufficient blood through them. That continual additional effort takes its toll on you. It is possible that you will not experience a beating in your chest, rather, your body will begin to conserve energy in subtle ways. It decreases your motivation. It causes your movements to become more sluggish. In addition, as time passes, you start to have the impression that your get up and go has gradually disappeared along with it. A woman named Janet, who was 74 years old at the time, shared with me that she used to plant for hours without giving it a second thought. On the other hand, she started taking breaks after only 15 minutes of work. It wasn't because she was thin, rather, it was because she had a strange feeling. Both a blood test and a follow-up scan revealed that her heart was receiving less blood than usual as a result of partial blockages. She stated that the difference in her energy levels was like night and day after she made adjustments to both her diet and her medication. That is the main point. Being exhausted is not usually the same thing as fatigue. It's often your body's way of letting you know that it's having a hard time. Furthermore, because that battle is connected to blood flow, it does not matter how much coffee you consume or how many naps you take, the struggle will still be there. There is no way to get rid of it until the underlying cause is treated. Due to the fact that it can appear to be ordinary, this warning sign is quite simple to overlook. People around us may say things like, "Well, you're just not as young as you used to be." This is especially true as we approach our senior years. Aging, however, does not mean that you should feel exhausted on a daily basis. There is a distinction to be made between a natural slowing down and a loss of vitality that your heart is attempting to explain in the only way it can, by forcing you to halt. I would appreciate it if you could use the second comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Now, let's proceed with our plans. The third warning sign is claudication, which results in leg pain or cramping when walking. However, one of the less obvious symptoms of blocked arteries is that it does not manifest itself in the chest at all. This manifests itself in your legs. On the off chance that you have ever experienced discomfort, tightness, or cramping in your calves, thighs, or hips when walking, you will find that these symptoms improve when you take a break. It is possible that you are suffering from a condition known as claudication, which is typically a warning sign that your arteries are becoming more constricted. It is not only in your legs, but it could even be in the vicinity of your heart. So, this is what takes place. During walking, your muscles require a greater quantity of oxygen-rich blood, but if your arteries are partially clogged, particularly in your legs, This supply of blood is unable to keep up with the demand. When your muscles begin to suffer from a lack of fuel, they begin to revolt. It might be described as a squeezing or scorching pain, or it can even be described as a heavy feeling that causes you to stop. The instant you take a break, the blood flow returns to normal, and the discomfort begins to subside. The fact that the discomfort diminishes with movement and disappears with rest is an important clue. People tend to dismiss this symptom as being caused by arthritis, aging, or simply having terrible legs, which is one of the reasons why it is so harmful. However, genuine claudication is a warning sign that something larger is going on. PAD, also known as peripheral artery disease. Moreover, PAD is not limited to your legs alone, due to the fact that it is a systemic disorder. If it is occurring in one area of your body, there is a high probability that it is also occurring in other parts of your body. The arteries that surround your heart and brain are included in this. The man I met was named Gerald, and he was 79 years old. He told me that he used to walk to the park every day. But recently, when he was halfway there, he began to have pain in his right leg, until one day, he was unable to go past his driveway. He believed that it was nothing more than a muscle that had been torn. His arteries in both legs were significantly blocked. According to the results of the tests, particularly significant, however, was the fact that his cardiologist found a comparable constriction in his coronary arteries. It turned out that the agony in his leg was exactly what he needed to get through this. As a result of the fact that it compelled him to take action before something more catastrophic occurred. Claudication can display itself in either one or both of his legs. You might have a feeling similar to pressure, tiredness, or a tightening that is triggered by activity in a predictable manner. The most important thing is that it disappears after you get some rest. When you hear something like that, you shouldn't disregard it. There is a signal coming from your body that it is not receiving sufficient oxygen. What it needs, because there is something in the pipes that is causing it to become clogged. The earlier it is discovered, the more you will be able to do about it. Medication, physical activity, dietary changes, and even, in rare instances, a straightforward operation can significantly enhance blood flow. Your legs are not the only areas affected. Your entire body is affected here. In light of the fact that leg discomfort is not always caused by muscles or joints. At other times, it is your heart that is pleading with you to pay attention. Despite the fact that the ache is located not in your chest. Erectile dysfunction in men over the age of 50 is the fourth alert. A significant number of men attribute changes in their sexual function to the effects of aging, stress, or alterations in hormone levels. However, inadequate circulation is another factor that frequently goes unnoticed when it comes to erectile dysfunction. In point of fact, one of the earliest warning signs that your arteries are beginning to shrink is when you have difficulties getting or keeping an erection. A strong and steady blood flow is necessary for erections, and this is the reason why you will not experience chest pain or shortness of breath until much later. Moreover, the blood arteries in that region are quite small and quite susceptible to variations in circulation alterations. When plaque begins to accumulate in the arteries, the smaller vessels are typically the first to be damaged by the accumulation of plaque. In light of this, a decrease in sexual performance may actually be one of the earliest indications that your cardiovascular system is not performing as it should be. When erectile dysfunction occurs frequently, particularly in men over the age of 50, medical professionals frequently consider it to be a vascular warning. However, this does not indicate that every occurrence of erectile dysfunction is indicative of heart disease. It is common for it to manifest itself years before other signs of heart disease manifest themselves. In addition, it is not only about sexual connection, it is also about surviving. Mainly due to the fact that the same kind of plaque that affects one location is frequently capable of damaging other areas as well, including the arteries that lead to the brain and the heart. There was a man named Ray who was 68 years old and had begun to experience erectile dysfunction. But he chose to keep it to himself for about a year. When he finally brought it up during a routine appointment, his physician performed a few tests just in case it was something serious. They discovered that the patient had coronary artery disease in its early stages. There was no chest pain, no difficulty walking, and no prominent symptoms that Ray had experienced. On the other hand, that one discreet warning sign provided him a head start. By making adjustments to his lifestyle and receiving therapy, he was able to prevent the heart attack that would have been expected to occur in the near future. The fact that this warning is uncomfortable is what makes it so simple to ignore. Quite a few males choose not to discuss it. It is either that they are humiliated or that they believe it is a natural part of growing older. In point of fact, however, it is an important indication from the body that the blood is not moving as regularly as it once did. Also, it is not only about sexual activity. Circulation is also a factor. The circulation of blood reveals everything. In the event that something is disrupting it in one place, there is a good possibility that it is also occurring in other areas. When it comes to sexual function, paying attention to changes is not about feeling ashamed. A focus on early detection is required. What's important is that you are aware that your body is always giving signals. All that is required of you is a willingness to listen. I would appreciate it if you could use the fourth comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Now, let's proceed with our plans. Extremities that are chilly or pallid and have feeble pulses are the fifth red indicator. There is a straightforward method by which your body can communicate with you that the blood is not flowing as it should. And it typically begins at the margins. If your hands or feet feel colder than the rest of your body, even when you are in a warm place, or if your skin seems especially pale or bluish, it is possible that your circulatory systems are not functioning properly. And when this change is accompanied with weak or difficult to locate pulses in your wrists or ankles, it may be an indication that your arteries are gradually and silently narrowing. It is this that is taking place on the inside. In the event that your arteries get blocked or stiff, your heart will be unable to deliver sufficient blood to the most distant regions. Fingers, toes, hands, and feet are all included. Those regions become analogous to the most remote rooms in a house with deteriorating plumbing. They are still linked, but they are only receiving a small amount of what they require. In addition, the steady flow of blood manifests itself in a way that is very tangible. It's possible that you've noticed that your socks and shoes no longer feel as warm as they used to. It may appear that your fingertips are taking a long time to warm up. It is even possible that you will experience a tingling or numbness that is intermittent. These are not ordinary annoyances, rather, they are indicators. They are a symptom that your cardiovascular system may be having difficulty performing its functions. It is also possible that the issue is not in your hands or feet, rather, it could be in the arteries that lead to those areas. When Martha, who was 72 years old at the time, realized that her right foot was always cold to the touch, when the rest of her body felt good, I will never forget her. She believed that it was a circulation problem from sitting for an excessive amount of time. Or perhaps it was the weather. On the other hand, she was referred for testing after a nurse who was doing a routine visit failed to detect a clear pulse in that affected foot. They found that her leg had substantial artery constriction, to the point where she was in risk of losing circulation entirely if she did not receive treatment. The discomfort that occurs with decreased blood flow is not the true risk, rather, the real risk is what comes after it. Extremities that are cold and pallid are frequently a precursor to more significant consequences, such as damage to the tissues, ulcers, or even the possibility of amputation in extreme situations. However, the beginning is rarely a dramatic one. To begin, you may notice that your fingers are cold, your toes are pale, or your pulse is difficult to feel. Make a comparison between the two sides if you want to check for this at home. Is there a consistent warmth in your feet, at the top of your foot or on the inside of your ankle? Are you able to detect a pulse feeling? How constant is the color of the skin? These seemingly insignificant inspections might reveal a great deal, particularly if you observe a change from the way things were in the past. Mainly due to the fact that when circulation decreases, it does not always scream. The thing leaves. It comes to a halt. Additionally, if you feel colder toward the borders of your body, it is possible that your heart is straining more than you are aware of at the middle. If you pay attention to these subtle indicators, it may not only make you feel more comfortable, but it may also provide you with the opportunity to take action before a minor symptom develops into a significant event. And if you discover impaired circulation at an earlier stage, you will have more options available to you to safeguard the life and vigor that you have labored so diligently to cultivate. Lastly, some thoughts. Now that you are aware of these 5 warning signs, how many of them trigger feelings of familiarity within you? Maybe you've noticed that you've been becoming winded more frequently as of late. Perhaps you've noticed that your legs have begun to hurt about halfway through your walk. Perhaps you have been experiencing a persistent, nagging lethargy that you simply cannot understand. These may appear to be little on their own, yet when taken collectively, they create a picture. This is a picture that your body has been drawing to alert you to the possibility that something more serious is going on with your circulation. Listening early is the most important thing to do. This is due to the fact that the discomfort that is experienced when arteries become obstructed is not necessarily severe right away. They speak in a whisper. They decrease your speed. Your habits are altered as a result. In addition, if you do not pay attention, such hushed conversations may develop into something much more conspicuous, something that manifests itself in the form of a heart attack, stroke, or unexpected emergency that could have been avoided and could have been avoided otherwise. However, here is some good news. Your body will always offer you the opportunity to take action. Every symptom that we discussed today is an opportunity for you to be curious and ask questions, to undergo a checkup, to make your voice heard, even if you believe it says nothing, even if your most recent visit appeared to be typical, as a result of the fact that many lives are saved not as a result of heroic actions, but rather as a result of identifying the little things early enough to take action about them. This is something you should take very seriously if even one of these indications rings true for you today. You don't need to freak out, but you do need to pay attention to what's going on. Find out what your blood pressure is. Have a conversation with your physician. Inquire about a straightforward vascular screening. It is important to keep in mind that these discussions are not solely about preventing disease. Protecting the vitality, freedom, and independence that you have worked so hard to achieve over your whole life is the purpose of these. You have the right to be able to move how you choose, to breathe without difficulty, to wake up feeling energized, and to live with the knowledge that your heart and body are receiving the strength they require. Not simply in the event that something goes wrong, but on a daily basis alongside the journey. We appreciate you being here with us today. It would be wonderful if you could get in touch with us. In the comment section below, please share one thing that you have learned today and how you intend to put it to use in your life. Happy learning. We place a high value on your opinions, so please do not be reluctant to share them with us. Our inspiration and encouragement are greatly increased as a result of reading your remarks. I would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it to be informative and enjoyable. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. We appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we hope to see you in the future video.